All right, it's 11:05, and I think this is a great time to begin. So, without any further ado, thank you so much to everyone who's joined us today. I'll begin with a very short introduction. My name is Shalini Bhattacharya, and I'm a part of the marketing team at Lead Group. We are India's leading school ed tech company, and on behalf of Lead Group, I'd like to welcome all of you once again to the live webinar. Um, of course, very important that I make a good introduction. Uh, Niharika Bhayana Khatri is an education leader, and she will be leading our webinar today. Niharika has 15 years of experience in education and skilling. She's currently with Adobe, and prior to joining Adobe, Niharika's worked with the National Skill Development Corporation under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And she has spearheaded the development of employability and entrepreneurial skills curriculum for Pan India rollout. She was also leading the digital content and learning track for the national level digital infrastructure platform or Skill India Digital. Niharika has also authored over 15 books for K-12 students and teachers, and she's addressed various national and international curricula. So, Niharika, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. Just before we begin the webinar, I'm going to run a very quick poll to get a sense of how comfortable our audience is with the topic. So attendees, you'll see a poll on the screen, and there it is. And we invite you to please share your familiarity levels on the topic with us. Let's just keep the poll on the screen for a minute or so while everybody responds. Okay, Niharika, I don't know if you can see the results as they're populating on the screen.
I can.
Yeah. So it's interesting that nearly, we'll wait for the poll to end, but it's interesting what the trends are suggesting. In the meantime, thank you to everybody who's joined us. Sumoli Sen, Joiti Magare, Dhruva Roy from Shiliguri. Thanks so much for joining. Okay, interesting. So 54% of our attendees are somewhat familiar with integrating AI and coding into their curriculum. 21% are very familiar, and 26% are saying they're not familiar at all. So I think we have a lot of ground to cover, Niharika. Once again, thank you for being our host today, and over to you now.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction, Shalini. I'm also honored to be part of this webinar. And I can see since 26% of the people are still not familiar with the AI tools and various technology tools, I hope with this brief discussion, I'm calling it a discussion because I like interacting with the audience to understand where exactly we all are. Because as an educator, as a facilitator, we all are into this together and we are here to build a better future for our students. So I hope with this brief conversation on how coding, few of the functionalities of technology that will be touching upon today, like coding, digital creativity, and AI, we would be able to impart somewhat familiarity to the ones who are still not aware. And maybe they'll start exploring it going forward in their pedagogical approaches. Okay, so let me begin by sharing my screen so that I can begin with the topic. So just let me know if my screen is visible to you, Shalini.
It's not yet visible. It's loading. Just give us. Here we are. Yes, can see your screen now.
You can see my screen still?
Yes, I can. I can now see the screen.
Okay, let me just test it out one more time. Can you see the screen moving?
Yes, I can. We're all
Great.
able to see everything.
So, thank you everyone for having me here. So today we are going to discuss briefly. I wouldn't say that we'll be touching upon the entire aspect because the ecosystem, the words that we are talking about, digital creativity, coding, and AI, they carry a lot of weight. And it is obviously the discussion can never conclude in just 40 minutes. It is a never ending topic because of the so much which is evolving on everyday basis. Technology keeps on enhancing, and every day we have something new coming up. Last year, we were talking about Chat GPT. Now there's more versions of Chat GPT. We are talking about generative AI. Not only the textual generation of content, but we can create images, videos, audio files, what not with AI. So that's how this is the pace at which the technology is enhancing every single day. So that's is why I'm saying that obviously we'll touch upon it, but we will definitely not able to cover everything. So, as I was saying, the world is actually evolving rapidly. And the schools are also integrating technology to keep up the pace with the need of the futuristic skills. Now, what exactly is futuristic skills? We are actually talking about this word, and we sometimes loosely use this word futuristic skills. But when I talk about futuristic skills, these are actually the skills which will help our students, the young generation, thrive in this ever evolving technology world. It will help them build not only their skill set, but also their mindset and their tool set. When I'm talking about skill set, mindset, and tool set, skills like the 21st century skills that we always say about creative thinking, problem solving, critical thinking, design thinking, all that touches the cognition level of the student. Mindset, building a holistic approach towards a growth mindset so that they make informed decision about everything. They analyze every situation in their life and make an informed decision. And definitely the tool set. We need to obviously teach them digital agility. We talk about digital agility because fluency has now surpassed that era. We're talking about being agile with the ever changing digital tools which are coming up every single day. They need to have digital agility so that tomorrow they can thrive not only in their job careers but also they can become entrepreneurs. So these are the skills which actually empowers their entrepreneurial mindset. So whether it's coding, digital creativity, AI, etc. These are actually the essential tools for the success, empowering our students to not only think critically but solve the problem or approach the problem in a very, I would say, analytical way. So that's why we are emphasizing on these three skills today. We talk about technology a lot. Technology, we all know, is actually interdisciplinary and it should not be only restricted to STEM based education, which means science, mathematics, technology, etc. It has actually surpassed that and it's touching every aspect of our classrooms, whether it is our arts and design classroom, whether it's teaching of languages, Hindi, English, everywhere. It has transformed the way that we are teaching our students. And we must also understand because we are actually dealing with the Generation Z that we call today. So, Generation Z is actually the digital natives. We are more like digital immigrants because technology, use of devices, it is the natural part of their daily life. And why don't we actually utilize this natural aspect? That's what the evolution, Darwin's theory of evolution also points out. This is their natural form, use of technology. So why don't we start integrating tech tools into our teaching processes so that we can actually meet the students somewhere in between? We strike a middle ground. For example, I'll give you an example of art and craft. For ages, while teaching art and craft in the classroom, we use the traditional methodology of paint brushes, various art and craft like structures, various like aspects of it. But now that we have a lot of design tools like Photoshop, we have Illustrator, we have Adobe Express, and what not, why don't we have some part of the curriculum? I wouldn't say 100% just dump the traditional methodology and go online and start using digital tools. No, I am nowhere advocating that at all. But what if some part of the curriculum, maybe 40% of the curriculum, can also include the digital aspect so that it touches upon each and every student? Because not every student is inclined towards arts. We have seen in our classroom there are few students who are doing really well in art and craft, whereas there are a set of students who just don't like arts. But why don't we also include them in this entire activity by having somewhat digital tools embedded into our curriculum itself so that everyone feels comfortable in their own space and gets engaged in the process, because that's what the motive is, taking everyone together and addressing the learning needs of our students overall. So let me
Niharika, sorry to interrupt, but we had a couple of participants raise their hands just now. So I just wanted to request to everyone who's attending that if you have any questions you'd like Niharika to answer, you can enter your questions, please, in the Q&A window. And we have a 10-minute Q&A session at the end of the session. And Niharika, I'm sure will be more than happy to address any questions you. Thank you.
surely. So would you like me to take it up right now towards the end?
Um, sure. Actually, the question is if we're going to get certificates of participation. Yes, Juhi, certainly everyone attending this webinar will get a certificate of participation, but I was referring to questions on the topic and questions that you'd specifically like Niharika to answer. I'd request all participants to please feel free to ask your questions and put them up in the Q&A window. So, Niharika, back to you. No open questions now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, as you can rightly see on the screen, the digital shift in education, and as I was just directing, the question is no longer whether we should implement technology in our everyday classroom. It's no longer what technology should be chosen or whether it would actually enhance the learning outcomes. The conversation is how seamlessly we are integrating, how seamlessly we are actually focused on enhancing the learning outcomes of our student and infusing higher order thinking skills into our students. So if I it not only limits to the classroom, but also the if I talk about the administrative perspective, it enhances the productivity of our teachers. I'll again quote an example of the AI skills. Sorry, I'm jumping onto AI before so that you can have like you can relate to what I'm saying. Chat GPT has been around for quite some time. It's been over 2 years now. And now, PDFs also have AI assistant. We have AI assistants when we are shopping online. We have AI assistants when we are reading a document online. And we have AI assistants everywhere, which helps us in every step of the way. So think of AI as a productivity tool. For example, if I'm a teacher and I'm taking up a lesson in a classroom, I would rather spend my time in engaging with student to understand their learning needs, then keep myself engaged in all the administrative tasks of the school, which we know are also imperative. But let's get the administrative task completed in a jiffy with the use of AI. For example, if I need to create a question paper for a upcoming class test for any of the chapters, say science chapter 1 of grade 6, I can use PDF AI assistant to just create a questionnaire for me in a jiffy. It will take only 10 to 20 seconds for the AI assistant to generate a questionnaire for me, which leaves ample of time for me to concentrate on how I can create my lesson plan more engaging rather than spending 1 hour in creating that question paper. So, this is how AI helps us in increasing the productivity of
Sure,
the classroom.
sure. Niharika, we do have a question that's come
Yeah,
in.
sure.
Um, I'm not sure who's asking this question because I can't see a name, but our guest is asking how to include it in the curriculum, this digitally
I will explain it to
capable.
you over the journey. I'll explain it to you how you can actually include it in your classroom by quoting some examples from the classroom, the core academics only. So please be with me through this journey. I'll help you understand that, and then I'll address your queries if you further have any. As I was explaining, so not only enhances the productivity of the teachers, but also makes the classroom more engaging. So, how do you think you can make classroom more engaging for the Gen Z who is always on a device? We can use audio visual presentations and content, right? Because when I was teaching in a college, I used to show them clips from the YouTube. For example, if I'm teaching a very complex topic like maybe superconductivity. Superconductivity is hard for the students to absorb and then assimilate. So, what if I show them a clip which actually shows how exactly the superconductivity works in our everyday life? And start my lecture by showing them some content which is more relatable to them. So, audio visual presentations with the help of AI, creativity tools will help them understand it better. Making assessments which is more interactive. Pen and paper kind of way has become outdated, and not every student is comfortable by just going through a pen and paper kind of way of assessment. What if we use coding technologies to have an interactive method of assessments where students are creating something and then analyzing it? I'll quote some example when I move on to how coding is impacting the learning outcomes of the student. Furthermore, we all know that students have easy access to these devices. So, implementation of these small things, these minor enhancements in our everyday lesson plans is not going to be a mammoth task for any of us, because the technology is now not only restricted to metros, it has actually spread across every walk of our life. So even the students in tier 3 cities or small towns, they also have now access to devices. So as an educator and as a school leader, it is our responsibility to show them how the technology can aid their learning processes and narrow the digital divide. Moving further into the conversation by quoting some of the studies which have occurred across the globe, the World Economic Forum studies, which has an extensive data set. And it clearly shows, as you can see on the screen, the top 10 skills which are on the rise for the next decade. So it focuses on creative thinking, analytical thinking, technology literacy. So even the World Economic Forum says that in the next 10 years, there will be a billion jobs which would be available for the people who are well versed with these kind of skills. Moving further, embracing digital agility is very important. When I'm talking about digital agility, I'm not limiting it to students only. In fact, as an educator, as school leaders, we should be agile and adaptive towards the ever changing digital requirements, whether including it in our learning and development space, whether the use of communication and collaboration, etc. If we recall, when in 2020 COVID hit, we all moved from the offline, the brick and mortar method of teaching to online modes of teaching quickly. We adapted ourselves. At that time, we were forced to adapt. Many of us obviously faced challenges at the beginning, but eventually, all of us thrived during that period, and we were able to channelize and manage and come back to normalize the online teaching of learning, right? Online methods of teaching and learning, right? So we all now need that thrust to move forward and adapt these technology, coding, creativity, and AI into our everyday learning processes. We don't need any other pandemic for that, but the trust should come from within itself.
So, Niharika, Dr. Subir Acharya, he is requesting you to elaborate a little bit more on the previous slide. And Dhruba Roy is asking, is there any better application other than ChatGPT?
See, that's what I was telling you. AI assistant is available everywhere. So recently, I'm sorry, I'm quoting an Adobe product here. So Adobe Acrobat, we have been using PDFs for quite some time, and Adobe Acrobat we all are familiar with because we use Adobe PDF reader, right? So Adobe also recently launched AI Assist. So it's similar to ChatGPT. It is also a generative AI assistant, which is embedded in the software itself. So when you read start like when you open a PDF document, you can ask questions from the AI assistant, similar to Chat GPT, and it will summarize the entire document for you, and it will take out insights from that document for you. So that's how the productivity enhances. I can actually look at the key points of the document in just 5 to 10 minutes rather than spending time on a say 100-pager document. And similarly, as I was explaining, I can craft a mind map. I can craft an assignment for my students. I can create any kind of assessment with the help of AI Assist. So that makes it easier. Definitely, if I want, I can always go back and tweak the results that I'm getting. And I can even enhance it to adapt it to my classroom environment. So that's how easy it has become for all of us. And elaborating more on the previous slide, it's about the six elements of digital capability. We now focus on overall digital agility, and digital agility has been defined by these six elements of digital capability, which means penetration of digital tools and means into every walks of life, whether it's learning and development, whether it's come through communication and collaboration, enhancing productivity and proficiency. Obviously, information and media, we all are using digital. See, the example is we're interacting through Zoom today, digital communication and collaboration, right? So this is how we're interacting. This obviously satisfies one of the six elements of digital capabilities. We all are capable. We all are agile enough to move on to online platforms for interaction. And definitely digital identity and well-being, which talks about cybersecurity and face say how you safeguard yourself from any of the like damages that may happen because of overexposure. So it touches upon all the aspects of digital capabilities.
So, Niharika, do you think we should serve our audience a quick poll just to
Surely. Yeah.
sense where everybody is right now? I'm going to request my colleague on this call to do the needful. All right. So, what is the biggest challenge in implementing coding and AI tools in your schools? I would request participants to please actively participate. Again, very interesting trends that I'm seeing. Interesting. Let's keep this on the screen for a few more seconds for folks to participate.
See, I totally understand there's a lack of
Yeah.
teacher training.
Yeah.
Definitely, because see, a lot of initiatives have actually been taken up by NCRT, by CBSE, by the Ministry of Education in imparting training for the teachers on this latest technological implementations in everyday teaching and learning processes, how you can actually embed various technological tools in your learning and lesson plans. So I would rather suggest that a lot of content is available on NCRT YouTube events channel. So And NCRT also keeps on doing these professional development programs, because as part of the curriculum, as part of the directives which have been issued by CBSE, is that they have mandated some 50 hours of professional development for
Mm.
teachers across India every year. So that mandated training, the schools should plan that obviously in a meticulous way, so that you are touching upon every aspect, and make sure that teachers are not only undergoing that training because they have been forced to, but they start applying it. And this can only come through the top leadership.
Sure.
So for this, implementation of technology and teacher training and motivating the teachers is always a top down approach.
And
If the
Niharika, what do you,
leadership feels that way, then only the school will obviously undergo the change.
sorry, so Niharika, what's interesting is that approximately 5% of our participants have also cited resistance from
I
parents.
was coming to
Frustrations.
that as well.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I understand that what resistance can come from the parents, because parents feel that our child is always on a device. We don't want more exposure to online interface for our child. But to understand, all of us know that even if we don't expose children to any online stuff, they are themselves always there on YouTube, on Instagram. And even parents, as a parent, I can restrict, but I cannot have like omit it out of their life forever, because they will be students engage themselves with a lot of content online. So why don't we just replace the content that they are looking at these days with the content which is informational for them, which will help them build their skills, which will help them in their learning processes. So it's just that you have to replace the content. And this is how you can explain to the parents, to the stakeholders, that the 10 to 20% of the time that the student is spending on their phones, on internet, can also now be replaced with this learning thing, which is very interactive for the students, and in a fun way, like engaging way. So that's how you can deal with the resistance of the parents. And definitely coming to the infrastructure and budget constraints, I feel schools are also now partnering with a lot of providers, edtechs, to have infrastructure and technology implemented in their schools. A lot of schools are now opening up tech labs in collaboration with many edtech providers, infrastructure providers. They are opening up creativity labs. Setting up a separate labs within their schools. So I would suggest that you just search for these kind of collaborations with the edtech partners, and maybe those edtech partners can support adoption of technology in your various like school setup. Okay, so shall we move forward, Shalini?
Yes, please, let's
Thank
move on.
you, thank you. Yeah. Okay, coming to an important aspect of technology is NEP 2020. So NEP 2020 actually lays down the foundation for Education 4.0. That's what I call the digital revolution in the education. So NEP 2020 can has actually touched upon all the four primary pillars of education, whether it's curriculum, learning, foundational skills, or assessment. It talks about how technology can be seamlessly integrated in all these four pillars. So, when we are creating curriculum, create a curriculum which also infuses technology as part of it, so that we are focusing on a wholesome, a holistic learning approach, a comprehensive learning approach. When we're talking about learning tools, definitely, with the help of AI, we include people who are disinterested. So it addresses everyone's learning requirements and needs. So appealing to a larger audience. And most importantly, the foundational skills and 360-degree holistic assessments. So as I just mentioned few minutes back, not everyone is comfortable with a pen and paper kind of means of assessment. I'll quote an example from my real life. My nephew doesn't like writing up in the paper. So whenever he's going for an examination, we have to coax him that please, you're going to get marks. So whatever you know, please write it in the examination. But still, he doesn't like writing in the examination. Rather, if you give him like a task to create a presentation on what he knows, he is more comfortable in doing that. So, addressing students' need and assessing them in 360-degree holistically through the use of technology is now imperative. And that's how the NEP 2020 has actually introduced it in the overall education policy. But it's been now 4 years since NEP 2020. We cannot just have all these pillars and the vision of NEP 2020 only in the policy and papers. We now have to start implementing it in everyday life. And today I'll tell you how we are going to implement it in everyday life and how we can make it easy through coding, creativity, and AI skills. Moving ahead, why are we focusing on creativity, coding, and AI skills? The answer is right in front of you. Creativity, we all know, it enhances the way we are thinking. It enhances critical thinking into the student. It enhances the problem solving approach. It has to be embedded from the foundational level itself. So don't wait for the student to come to grade 6 or grade 5. Let's start infusing these key skills from right from the foundational skill level itself, so that when student is learning, say, about the ecosystem, for example, they should question what are the components of ecosystem. They should analyze, think critically how ecosystem would change if I remove one component from it. They should themselves come to the answer without even introducing the chapter on food chain. So if I am teaching a grade 4 student a chapter on environment, and I tell them that, see, from your daily life, you can see that this is you don't mention the name food chain, but tell them the series of events that we are consuming this, and this is how we're gaining energy, and that's how the energy is moving from one living organism to the other living organism. And then ask them, what if one of the organism goes missing? Let them think critically. And how this can be done? If I show them images, if I show them some audio clips, won't that be interesting for them to visualize and understand? So seeing is actually believing. So that's how the students would learn. Moving on to coding. Obviously, when we are introducing coding skills in the schools, it doesn't start with C++ right from the beginning. It starts with some minor blocks of learning. When I'm introducing coding in grade 1, obviously it will be a block kind of a method. You'll ask them to create, say, a diagram with the help of certain things, elements which are given to them. And that's how the coding begins. It helps them understand, analyze the problem in a more mathematical way, and develops their computational thinking. Moving on to AI, definitely AI helps in increase of the productivity, but it also helps them in a data-driven decisions. It also helps them create something new with generative AI. And as I have been emphasizing, the job market is changing. So students who don't have these essential skills will will face difficulty in thriving in the future. And I have quoted some of the statistics from the latest reports from 2024 Creative AI job reports that 97 million jobs would be open by 2025, which would include generative AI as part of the job description. And moving ahead, it's seen that 66% of the leaders, the hiring committee feels that they would rather hire somebody with lesser experience but essential AI skills than somebody with more experience with no AI skills. Because AI skills, as I mentioned, it enhances productivity and the task gets done in a lesser time. So that's why AI, coding, and creativity skills are essential skills for tomorrow. Moving
Um,
ahead,
yeah. So Niharika, actually, before you enter the topic of tech in the classroom, I thought maybe we could just quickly check in with the audience on how they actually feel about the use of technology and what it can do for student learning outcomes. Rohit, can you help us set that goal? Okay, so digital creativity, AI coding, what would be the impact of tech in the learning outcomes of students? Requesting all participants to let us know, what do you think? Is it improved conceptual understanding? Is it personalized learning? A lot of people tell us, both of these are important. Or is it both one and two and no brainer in terms of where the answers are going? So as you can see, Niharika, an overwhelming almost 86%
yeah,
of our participants are saying both.
definitely. I totally agree. It's actually both improved conceptualization and obviously personalized learning because you're catering to individuals' learning needs. So that's how these skills and these tool sets will help teachers in enhancing their classroom experience for the students. And you can see clearly it helps in having more engagement in the classroom, definitely retention because of the usage of technology, because since students they love technology driven content, so obviously you retain their attention and
So I
definitely
would
you impart the skills.
Sure. I just, if I think if you can see the results, Niharika, what I'm seeing is 14% of participants in the poll are indicating improved conceptual understanding, whereas
Yeah.
only 4% are talking about personalized learning. What do you think is going on here?
So basically some of them they are not able to understand how they can personalize the learning with the
True.
usage of tool. So as I was mentioning the very basic use AI in creating a question paper, rather than creating one kind of a question paper, I can generate 10 different sets of question paper and variety of questions for variety of students in a jiffy. So that's how the personalized learning is.
Sure.
And this gives me more time to interact with my students in everyday life to understand where exactly they are and where can I meet them. So if somebody I feel doesn't like, suppose a topic has been taught in the classroom and say 20% of the students have understood it quite well, because we all know 20% of the students are belong to that league which just need a basic push and they do things on their own, whereas 80% of the students they need more engagement. So I would know that where exactly my student is, what kind of content is more comprehensible for them. Do they understand more if I write things on the board? Do they understand more if I show them videos? Or do they understand more if I teach the concept and then ask them to create maybe a video project on the same, or just create a presentation on the same, so that I can also gauge what they have understood when they are presenting it. So that's what the personalized learning is. You are enhancing, you're tweaking your teaching pedagogy through engagement, through the usage of tools. So I can create some assignment for them and provide it to them through any usage of the tool, online tools which is available to me. For example, say if I'm teaching grade 1, I'm just introducing the topic shapes, and I'll again come back to Adobe Express, that if I want to teach shapes to my student, say of grade 1, I'll simply use a worksheet and I'll ask them to, I'll create a picture using generative AI. I'll tell you. A generative AI picture may be of a park scene, maybe a scene of a busy road, maybe a scene of any mall or shopping arcade. And then I will ask them, I'll share that image with all my students and I'll ask them to find out various shapes. Let's begin with triangles. So please try to point out triangles in this image. So this is basically conceptual understanding. You're improving their conceptual understanding. So tomorrow when they go out shopping with their parents, they will know, okay, this is a biscuit, it is circle in shape. This is that, this is square in shape. So they will start identifying the shapes. This is a most basic example that I've given you. And there's no limit to the such examples that you can find online. And I use generative AI to create a beautiful image to enhance the learning outcome. Similarly, coming back to personalized learning, as I was telling you, okay, I created an image. I understood that, okay, say 85% of the students, they were able to identify the shapes, but there are still 15% of the students who were not able to understand. Now, they might be at a level lower than the 85% of the students. How do I help them? How do I personalize their learning process? So I can create another kind of assignment, not this one, but something different so that they can only just identify the shape. So I can create a new worksheet with shapes clearly marked out, no scene, nothing busy, a plain paper with some shapes. And I can ask them to color code various shapes. They can color those shapes using online tools. So they are not looking at a busy scene so that they get confused, but they are looking at a clean picture to identify shapes. And then after that, they are at the next level where they can match up with the 85% of the students. So this was very basic. I told you an example through which you can enhance both 1 and 2.
Makes sense. We have a bunch of questions, Niharika, but I don't want to keep interrupting you. So we'll save it for like a quick 10-minute question and answer
Yeah,
session.
so let's move on further with the conversation because we have a lot in store for the audience. So now let's look deeper into various tech tools and aptitudes. I would say that one can integrate in their pedagogical approaches to have a better retention, enhanced engagement, and obviously encourage the critical thinking in the classroom, touching upon the cognition domain of the students and definitely improving the academic performance. So let's move on with the first one, which is how coding can impact the learning outcomes. I have been talking about how it can impact. Definitely, coding enhances the analytical, mathematical thinking, the logical side of the brain, right? See, it touches upon the logical side. So, problem solving, mathematical approach, and critical thinking, all these cognitive skills get a boost with the help of coding. And definitely, we all know if these things get a boost, it will have improved academic performance. So, I'll just quote you another example. Sorry, I'm quoting a lot of examples in between. So let's consider an instance when the student is transitioning from grade 5 to grade 6. And I know, and we all feel as a teacher, that this phase when they are transitioning from foundational school to middle school is very challenging. Not only for the teachers, but for the students, but for like both of us, right? So some of the students they start losing interest because all of a sudden from basic books they have those heavy books. Even social science is further divided into three books. You have history, you have geography, you have civics, and science you have now physics, chemistry, and biology. So all these things are difficult to assimilate for the students and it's quite challenging, and so is for the teachers. So if we want to cater to their cognitive and affective domain, we need to have some ideas that will have their interest into the subject. So we need to think of methods to create engaging content with hands-on activity. So at this stage, hands-on activity is very important. Inquiry-based learning is very important, and definitely interactive lesson plans that fuels their curiosity is important, because if we don't maintain their curiosity at this level, we will lose the students will lose the interest, and definitely the outcome of all this, right? So one such example that I have quoted here is the usage of one of the coding devices, which is Minecraft. I'm just giving you one coding device example, which is easily available in the market. There are many such coding tools like Scratch, you have Code Ninja, you have so many tools which caters to K-12 requirement that you can further research and utilize as per your requirement. But one such tool is Microsoft's Minecraft. And how Minecraft helps in creating an understanding for the student is that Minecraft has some interactive lesson plans. You can create inquiry based learning on the students. For example, if I quote from science, students can create ecosystems in the Minecraft with animals, plants, and various other environmental conditions. They can start exploring relationships between organisms and food chains and habitat. Coming to history, which we which I used to love in my school, but definitely teachers also find it a bit challenging to teach history to the students. So when it comes to history with Minecraft, I can actually study and build historical sites like pyramids, Colosseum, maybe the Mughal architecture. I can study all this. And I can study and research these topics in depth to understand the architecture of that era, the purpose, and the historical context of it, right? Through these processes, the students will gain a deeper understanding into the subject matter while they are being engaged with the help of technology tools, which is their comfort zone. So that's how we can help them in, we can make them comfortable while they are transitioning to a higher level of studies and retain, obviously, enhance their attention into the classroom. So this is one such example, as you were asking, how do we use it in the classroom? So this is how you can use it in your classroom, the coding methodology. You can develop lesson plans. First to second lessons can be connected together with the help of coding tools, where students are developing things on their own. They are developing, basic example, they're developing cities. 16th century architecture in Delhi, in or 16th century Mughal architecture, they would understand deeper that it was all about the floral designs, the marble carving, and what was the importance of those tombs. So they would understand through their own interest. So these are some of the basic examples that I have quoted. I would love to hear from you, not today, but when you start implementing in your classroom, how you are using it in creating your own lesson plans. Because you understand what exactly works better in your classroom.
So, Niharika, we have got it's 11:52, so but I think we can stretch by a few minutes. But
I'll quickly wind up if you want me
yeah,
to.
and then we'll go into the Q&A because I can see so many questions in the window.
Okay, sure. I have talked about AI enough, that we talk about the personalized learning, the adaptability, obviously the support it provides to the students with special needs, and definitely enhancement of the analytical skills. So it doesn't need any further introduction because with the use of AI, productivity of teacher and student both increases. Now let's quickly move on to creativity and AI skills together in the classroom. So I have actually heard a lot of people saying that creativity isn't it only for the people who are into arts and designs, the architectures and all. I'm so sorry. This conception is absolutely wrong. Creativity is not limited to art and design. It is touching our every aspect of cognition. Creative thinking, we talk about startups, we talk about entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are they are the people who thought differently, who thought creatively in an innovative way. That's why they were able to launch their own startups, right? So creative thinking is actually one of the key skills or targeted skills by the World Economic Forum as well, the top skills which every employer is looking out for. And creative,
So I'm so sorry. I keep
please,
interrupting
please.
you, but I don't mean to, of course. But Niharika, one of the questions that we did want to ask our audience was about creativity. So, Rohit, do you think you could serve the next poll? Digital creativity. Yeah, not so much. How do you think creativity and AI improves classroom productivity? Enhances personalized learning, saves time for teachers, encourages problem solving skills, and our favorite, all of the above. Mhm.
I think at the beginning, when we had some 26% of the teachers who were saying that they don't know about these skills and the
Yeah,
tools, I
yeah,
think now they are more or less inclined and aligned with our thought process. That's why we are getting all of the above. 79,
absolutely,
78% people now aligning with the thought process, which is
absolutely.
very important, I feel, because uh, it starts from here.
Yeah,
It all starts
yeah.
from here.
It all starts from here, true. And those trends are holding up. But if I were to, I think, choose between the top three, problem solving skills is a clear winner,
Definitely, yeah.
and personalized learning and saving time for teachers are in a tie. So this is interesting. So people are overwhelmingly saying all three, but uh, if one were to choose between the first three options, encouraging problem solving skills seems to be far ahead.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's basically touching upon the cognitive domain. We talk
Yeah,
about the Bloom's taxonomy, the higher order thinking skills.
yeah,
So we are definitely building from lower order thinking skills to the higher order, which is create the highest order thinking skill as defined by Bloom's taxonomy. We all as teacher, we know about the seven levels of Bloom's taxonomy. But how often do we implement that in our classroom? So when I used to write content for K-12, especially for sciences, I used to make sure that when I'm approaching a chapter, I'm moving from basic reading, understanding, analyzing, and exploring, and definitely at the end, creating from whatever you have gathered, whatever information you have gathered. And this can easily be solved today by availability of so many tools which are available in the market. So at the beginning, I personally feel when I'm introducing a lesson in a classroom, at the beginning of a lesson only, I can guide my students that towards the end they would be required to do a certain activity. It can be a collaborative activity and it can be an individual activity. And let them create and express their knowledge in whatever way they want to, whether through presentations, whether through creating a video, whether through creating a web page. Let them express their understanding about any topic in a chapter that you have taught towards the end. So these kind of assessment modules can actually be developed for the students. So somebody can create an animation on, say, a chapter on force. If I'm teaching a chapter on force, somebody else can create maybe a web page explaining various concepts of, say, magnetic energy or magnetic force that they observe in their everyday life. Let them explore. Let them now create and express their understanding in a way in which they're more and they're most comfortable with. So, good. Most of us are aligned that all of these will serve the purpose. Thank you so much. Let's move forward. Yeah. Is my screen still visible?
yes,
So, okay. Okay. So, we have been talking about creativity, AI skills, classroom productivity. So, I would like to quote some examples here. Often, when I'm taking PDP sessions with schools, where I'm helping teachers understand how they can infuse digital creativity and AI skills in their everyday teaching and learning methodology, in their lesson plans, whether it's a Hindi teacher, English teacher, or a maths teacher. We have things for everyone. It's not limited to only STEM based education. Even a Hindi teacher can use digital creativity and digital tools. I'll explain in a very simple example. Uh, we read poems in Hindi, right? Students these days, they refrain themselves in speaking, communicating in Hindi language. We all have seen that in schools. They feel as if like it's a little like backward if they communicate in Hindi, and they don't give that much weightage to Hindi language. But what if, as a Hindi teacher, you start implementing technology tools in your Hindi classroom? Ask them to create an animated video of any and convert a Hindi poem into an animated video. Don't you think in that process, when the student is developing that animated video for that Hindi poem, they will also learn the meaning of that poem because they're reciting it again and again, and they will enjoy the process of this whole activity? And don't you think that by this way they'll fall in love with the subject? So these are very simple changes that you can make in your lesson plan when you're designing a lesson plan. And as a teacher, we all design a lesson plan before going to the classroom. We spend at least 45 minutes on an average every day to create a lesson plan for any lesson that we are teaching, say tomorrow. So make use of technology even in your Hindi classrooms and help students understand difficult concepts also of Hindi, difficult words of Hindi, help them in pronunciation by use of simple techniques. So this was one of the example that I quoted. And definitely we have been talking about how creativity enhances the overall classroom productivity. It reduces our instructional time, our activity time, etc., etc. And as I always advocate, it engages everyone. Every student gets engaged when they are asked to do something online, when they're asked to do something with technology. So, this is where the creativity actually helps the student to learn. This was one of the examples that I quoted. Some of the examples in science can be, say, teaching any topic like reproduction in plants. Let them collect examples, search pictures online, and create a web page on the same. And let them like team up together, divide that this activity in teams, and give them each topic. Maybe somebody is doing a budding process, somebody is doing some other process of uh, asexual reproduction in plants, etc. Let them come up with their ideas with real examples, because in this way everyone will feel involved and they will become like, it's like a self directed learning. You are putting part of the onus onto the student itself, so that they also are involved in their own learning process, because that's what we want. That student should go think out of the box, they should have their own directed learning, right? So that's how we can encourage such things with the help of little usage of technology tools for coding, digital creativity, and AI skills. And we all know, and I can always elaborate how it motivates the kids' learning, lights up the brain, develops the emotional understanding. Everything can definitely be elaborated furthermore. I would like to introduce one important tool that I am closely associated with is Adobe Express for Education. This is a beautiful digital creativity and AI skills tool which is available for K-12. It has been blended for K-12 because it has plethora of educational content for the students and for the teachers to learn something new in their classroom. And we have done, like I've done a project with NCRT, and you can find how you can infuse creativity skills into your maths class, science class, ICT, vocational education, you name it, you have it there with NCRT. And all those videos, the tutorials on how you can actually infuse digital creativity and AI skills in the classroom are available on NCRT Events YouTube channel. So you can check those out for a detailed discussion on how the examples I've taken from NCRT books itself, and I've tried to convert those lesson plans with the help of teachers. So just check those out for a better understanding on how it can be utilized in your classroom. Coming to the most important topic, which is challenges in implementation, and we have discussed it: lack of resources, teacher training, and access of technology. So, as I said, that it's better that we have a positive approach in our teacher development. It should be a top down approach. The school should be willing to adopt, adapt, and change. So it comes from the top down approach. So the leadership should be willing to change and adapt new technologies, and then only the teachers will feel motivated to have include technology in their everyday classroom. Solving the problem for the access of technology and infrastructure. There are technical companies which are available, the edtechs in the markets, with whom you can partner to enhance the accessibility in your classroom. And definitely, it's like a top down approach, enhance and encourage the students to be creative in their overall approach. So that's all for today. I'm happy to take some more questions, Shalini. You are on mute, Shalini.
Sorry. We have a bunch of questions, but what I really would request the audience to do is to take just 30 seconds if you want to ask Niharika anything, any aspect of what she's covered so far. Please use the Q&A window. We already have a bunch of questions there, but please do use the Q&A window to add your questions. This is the only opportunity, at least for some time, that you're going to get to interact with Niharika. And while our audience is thinking of questions and adding them in the chat window, I'll quickly walk all of us through what lead group is, what we do. And so, Rohit, if you could please help put up the slides. Thank you so much. Yes, Miss Dr. Acharya, we will share the recording. All right, cool. So very quickly, while everyone is adding questions, so Lead Group, as I mentioned, is India's largest school edtech. We offer integrated school solutions. We're driven by a vision to make excellent education accessible to every child. We believe that talent is universal and opportunity should be universal too, irrespective of where a school student is located. Uh, in terms of our current presence, you can see that we're in 400 cities. We're already working with 8,000 schools. We're already serving 35 lakh students. And we're working with 50,000 teachers across these schools. We were founded, in fact, we were just celebrating our founding day yesterday. We were founded in 2012 by our co-founders, Sumit Mehta and Smita Deora. And they work and they've been actually devoting their lives. They've devoted their lives to working with schools across India and to transform learning outcomes in these schools. Next slide, please. So just a quick look at, again, what we bring to schools across India. We have an integrated system that we bring to schools, which includes world-class books from the House of Lee, Pinnacle Pearson. Obviously, we come from the deep understanding that nothing works as well as multimodal education does in truly transforming classrooms and improving student learning outcomes. So we
Totally
also
agree.
offer audiovisual learning, and we digitalize classrooms. We offer student activity kits. This is to make sure that learning is fun, personalized, interactive, and the best that it can be in every classroom. Next slide, please. All right, and since this is a webinar about digital creativity, about AI coding, I'm delighted to share with you that just about last month, we've launched a brand new product. It's called Code.ai, and our focus is on building technology creators, and more of that on the next slide, please. We've devised this to be India's first true coding program for schools. So here's a quick video.
Where technology shapes our future. Coding isn't just a skill, it's the foundation for tomorrow's innovators. Just like you can't learn to swim by just reading about it, you need to actually get in the water. Similarly, Students can't master coding without actually doing it hands-on. Introducing Code.ai, India's only true coding program for schools that transforms students into technology creators. With 18 plus projects every year covering multiple software and coding tools, no other program offers this depth of real-world coding application. Our integrated coding platform, Builder, is a one-stop solution for students to learn to code, build a portfolio with real-life projects, and showcase their work to their teachers and parents. With live teacher view, teachers can monitor and assess every student's progress in real time, ensuring personalized guidance. That's not all. The program offers teachers several upskilling and teaching tools, and students a ticket to prepare and participate in the National Student Codeathon. Backed with new age tools like AI and generative AI, Code.ai is the best coding curriculum for schools in the country, which transforms your students into technology creators.
Thanks, Rohit. So, essentially, as the video already explains, this is India's first true coding program for schools. I'll quickly walk us through how we're different from other coding programs. It is the only program with project-based learning. So we offer 9 guided projects and 9 independent projects through the year. It's also the only coding program with a coding platform. Delighted to introduce Builder to you. All software available for students to write code on this platform. It's a one-stop shop for your students' portfolio. It's obviously on the cloud, and so you can access it anytime, anywhere. We've been talking to a lot of teachers across the country, and what we realized is that teachers also want a live view into how their students are performing on coding and AI. So Code.ai brings to you a live teacher view. Your teachers can monitor student progress live, and teachers, like I said, can assess and access all projects in one place, anytime, anywhere. Next slide, please. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Niharika covered some of the programs, but here is a comprehensive grade-wise list of coding tools and softwares that Code.ai brings to schools. The number of projects also is mentioned. Grade 1 to grade 4, we offer 18 projects per year. And you can take a screenshot of this if you like, just for your information. Rohit, let's wait for a couple of seconds, and yeah. So moving on to grades 5 to 8. Again, if you like, you can take a quick screenshot to understand our offering in a little bit more detail. Yeah. Okay, a little bit of a deep dive into Builder. It provides, as I mentioned, access to all the softwares that your students will need. It's a one place for students' portfolio on projects. And we've been talking so much about AI. It also includes a special AI tool to both locate and fix code. So that was Builder. Live teacher view, I've already discussed this, so I think we can move forward. But the fact is that for teachers who are really interested in understanding how their students are coding in real life, this is a great platform to be able to see and understand student progress. I think let's move forward. Okay, now this is a very important screen. Before I move into the questions, we'd love to answer any questions you have regarding any of our products, whether it is Lead, whether it is Pinnacle, Propel, or Code.ai. The numbers on the screen, I'd request all participants to please take a screenshot, call us anytime, and we're happy to answer all your questions. And I'm now going to move into the Q&A because I see a lot of questions have come in for Niharika. Okay, Niharika, the first question is, How do we incentivize students to approach text generation tools like ChatGPT in ways that emphasize critical thinking and analysis?
See, basically, we all know ChatGPT is like has become an easy tool for information. It's not only just information, it's how you are accessing the information, what questions you are formulating. So the teachers would have to, even if you are basically creating or crafting an assignment, say, for the students to use generative AI tools online, not alone ChatGPT, but any of the tools, right? Ask the teachers first to research on it and create an assignment where it guides the student to ask the right questions, the right prompts, because that's what we need to learn. Not only access the information right available, which is right in front of us, but asking the right question to arrive to the right response. So that's how you can design an activity. You can give them a comprehension kind of a thing, a detailed comprehension, and then you can ask students that what prompts you will maybe write for any AI assistant to give you these kind of an answers. If I want say this answer, what prompt you would write. So these kind of assignments would help them think that what should be the answer, what and how. So in a way, touching upon their cognitive thinking.
Sure. There was a question from Mohan Chandra Sahu. Daisy Chetri would like to know, um, can we implement the use of AI for 5 to 6 year old children? If yes, how?
Okay. So I don't know how aware you are with the DPDP law, the data protection, digital protection and data protection law. So for 5 to 6, it's not directed that the students have a hands-on experience on the tool directly, but definitely it can be a like it can be directed through teachers. So teachers can build in specialized assignments using generative AI for the students and then hand it over to them. It's usually not governed that students start using these tools as it's permitted under the DPTP law.
Understood. The next question is from Mr. Sahu again. In fact, it's a slightly futuristic question. He's asking, where do you think AI is going in the next 5 years? And how do you think it will impact teaching and learning?
So I'm so sorry, I'm not an AI specialist, but definitely one thing. We all, teachers, not only teachers, I think everyone fears that AI is somewhere gonna replace them. This is not going to happen. And as rightly quoted by George Couros, technology will never replace a great teacher. But if we give technology in the hands of a great teacher, it is going to be transformational. So this is what I want to leave with, that it you are the ones who have the magical wand in your hand. AI is like a magical wand. So transform your class in a way that you have always desired. As a teacher, you get the satisfaction when everyone in my class understands and is self motivated. So I can use these tools now at my discretion and transform the overall classroom engagement. And definitely with the pace at which we have AI tools, every now and then the technology is advancing. Now we can create videos also using generative AI in seconds. It has no end to it. It's gonna touch every aspect of our life, every aspect. And I would say even the people with lower socioeconomic background, the blue collared workers will also start utilizing technology. That's what I'm hoping for.
Sure. Um, Manika Sundaram Ji is asking, tell me about some AI tools for incorporating in education field for teachers.
You can use Adobe Express.
Um, what is the difference between project-based learning and problem-based learning? I'm hearing about problem-based learning for the first time.
Okay. It's like problem based is basically you're giving them a case study, which is like how you come out of that situation kind of thing,
I
right?
see.
So project, see, as per my understanding, project based learning incorporates not only cognitive domain, it also incorporates teamwork, collaboration skills. So it's a blend of collaboration skills, communication skills, and cognitive skills. Whereas if you are saying problem solving thing, it can be an individual also where it's touching upon only the cognitive domain.
Okay. Ashraf Ali Ji would like to ask, and he says, I'm sorry, I've joined very late. That's absolutely fine. We have people joining us at all times during a webinar. But he's asking, is there any free AI tool for animation of a character and also animating PPT? And he
Again,
thanks you.
Adobe Express is absolutely free for education in India. So it has animation tools, it has a lot to offer. Just check it out. The free version, I wouldn't say the premium version is available only when you apply for the licenses, which is absolutely free. But you can still check out Adobe Express, new.express.adobe.com, and you can see all the features. But when you apply for the licenses, then only all the premium features will be exposed to you, and everything is free, even the premium features, but it's just that we have to provide you with the licenses, that's all.
Daisy's asking, children do not bring their tabs or, excuse me, or digital appliances to school. So how can each child benefit with the use of ChatGPT or AI? Any suggestions?
See, again, some of the tools which can be embedded in the ICT labs of the classroom, students can access those tools with their school IDs, and those tools can also be maintained when they go back home. So whatever work I'm doing in the classroom using my school email ID, I log in using my school email ID, it will be similar to your Gmail. So you can use your Gmail and access your Gmail accounts from anywhere, any of the systems. In a similar manner, if you have certain systems in the classroom, some systems are absolutely free without any cost. Somebody is asking me. So they can access the same when they go back home and finish off their work which was left and the assignments which teachers might have given.
Okay.
Kindergarten to 12th class learning, sir. K-12 learning means that. And I've seen somebody saying I use Canva tools for animation.
Yes.
I would like to address that. See,
Sure.
I'm nowhere directing that you should not use Canva. But when it comes to K-12 education, and when we are now have to, every one of us has to adhere by the DPDP law. See, we have all heard about GDPR laws of European nations, which is very strict in sharing of the data, collection of the data, sharing of the data, responsible treatment of the data, because whatever activities you are doing, you're generating a lot of data, and we all know data sells these days. That's why you keep getting those ads, right? When it comes to Adobe, you're trusting an organization who's reliable. So we believe in responsible AI. No sharing of data with the third party, and no extra processing of personal information, because we adhere with GDPR laws and the local laws of the country. And the generative AI of Adobe Express, I'm sorry, I'm saying that again and again, because I actually believe in it, because I've seen that upfront. It's it will not generate any explicit content for that age group, because it is meant for K-12 usage. It will be free from any biases. So that's why we call it responsible AI. So that's why we have always have an upper hand over any other tools, because it's an organization that government can trust. Yeah.
Um, I think again, this is Ovia Chelvenar. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Please excuse me. They're asking, could you please suggest a process to drive improvement in tier two cities where there is limited knowledge and access? So I think the question is very specifically about tier two cities.
Yeah.
And also to those of us who are asking, to those of our participants who are asking about the lead curriculum, there's a bunch of questions there as well. Again, we'll maybe share the numbers on the screen. Yeah, I think it's already shared on the screen.
It's
You
already
can
shared on
just,
the screen.
yeah, you could just take a quick screenshot, so, and then we're happy to answer your call. But yes, back to you, Niharika. Your opinion on accessibility in India's tier 2, tier 3 cities.
I think a lot of tools are easily accessible because, as I said, everyone is carrying a device today. So, accessibility, thanks to the government, is no longer an issue. If I don't have 5G connectivity, I definitely have a 4G connectivity everywhere. So, every nook of this country has been now touched and provided with data. So, that data and access to internet is not a problem, access to devices is not a problem. It's just that in tier 2 cities, obviously you need to understand what tool will work better for you, and there are so many things, so many tools, so many organizations who are working in K-12 segment. So we'll be happy to be in touch with you, I from Adobe and Shalini from Lead, to help you to help technological penetration in tier 2 cities.
Sure. Nowadays, Gen AI is, this is Mr. Sahu again. He's asking, nowadays, Gen AI is an advanced tool being used in every sector, whether it is education, hospitality, defense, etc. In your opinion, Niharika, does it impact on teachers' careers in the near
No,
future?
as I rightly said, we are fearing that it will replace us. No, teachers can never be replaced. It is only going to enhance how you are interacting with your students. The
That makes
knowledge, the affirmative, I would say that effective domain still remains intact, which no technology can replace. The bond between a teacher and a student will always be there, and no one better understands a student than the teacher. So it's becomes the responsibility of the teacher to utilize these tools in having more better lesson plans and better, I would say, understanding for their students.
Niharika, a lot of folks have actually asked us for a copy of your presentation.
Actually,
Uh,
it was a web page. I would be happy to share that web page. I
yeah,
created that web page and I'll share that link with you, Shalini.
thank you so much. And we will send it across to all participants. Niharika, we have another question in the chat window. Is it mandatory for students from 6 to 12 to learn coding as per NEP 2020? So this is a
See,
policy question.
yeah, NEP 2020 has actually directed some of the changes. It has mandated some of the skill-based learning into the mainstream academia, because it has realized, because see, all of us, even the government has realized that we are moving from core academics to skill based learning. So that's why we spoke on coding, we spoke about AI, we spoke about creativity. All these skills are important, and somehow skill based education should also be part of your core curricula, whether it's code, you're taking up coding in your classroom, whether you're taking up digital citizenship or any kind of skills, hard skills, soft skills, any kind of skills in the classroom.
We've actually overshot our webinar timing
Yeah.
a good 30 minutes. But Niharika, it just goes to show how much our participants have loved you leading the session. So
Thank you so very
thank you so
much.
much. And thank you also to all our participants. There are a bunch of questions that are webinar related, so I'll address them. You will get a certificate of participation. You will have that soon. Niharika has also very kindly promised to share her, well, not the presentation, but the web document that she's been using. So we'll send that across to you as well. And I'm going to take this opportunity to thank everyone for joining, and we will see you soon again. Thanks, Niharika.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. Thank you.